The views and opinions of the Nissan Nation podcast are simply that. They are views and opinions of its guests or hosts. They do not reflect Nissan corporate or otherwise. Now, a DRB and KGB media presentation, the Nissan Nation podcast. Hit it, Kelly.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in your hosts, David, Danny, and Holden.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to let's swing over to the ATL and let's go around the world to wherever you are listening to us. This is your Nissan Nation podcast, and we have a good show tonight, guys. We have Mr. Holden Scott over there holding it down in the ATL. We've got Danny. Well, Danny's in spirit, really. He's Danny's at the Mint 400 right now. By the time you're listening to this, Danny will be selling tires or whatever Danny does on a Monday. But this is going to be a good show, guys. We've got Mr. Ryan Miller of Truck Night in America. Unless you live under a rock, you've seen our socials. We've been pushing the crap out of Ryan, and Ryan nearly won Truck Night in America, man. He was up, spoiler. Pause if you haven't seen this yet, but how could you have not? It aired a few nights ago. Ryan nearly won the Truck Night in America, and it was the little Xterra that could, Holden. What is up over there, Holden?
Nothing much, Dave. And yeah, that he was the little Xterra that could. I mean, it's just crazy. It's even more like seeing it in person after, we saw what was left of of the battle axe, as he likes to call it, and you just saw the carnage, and he couldn't talk about it. As many beers as I threw at him, it seems like he really wouldn't. He did a good job not telling anybody. So I was looking forward to it. So yeah, definitely he represented. That's why Ryan's so near and dear to my heart. He definitely sent it, and that's something. That's why I have him as my spotter at the Rock Challenge at Went, Dave, because we're kindred spirit when it comes to sending things.
That's right, man. Well, it's like I told him, I was like, it's just that military way of you're focused, you gotta go and you gotta do it, man. So, but anyways, we're gonna get to that interview in a little bit, man. But Holden, me and Danny were in the snow-filled mountains of Wyoming, and you were at Disney, buddy. We were like in completely different areas, and you know what? My wife even said, "Screw you guys! If you're going to Wyoming, you and Danny, I'm going down where Holden is, and I'm going to the warm land of Disney." How was your family trip, man? Everything good over there?
Yeah, it was fun. Got to go see the mouse, take a picture with him. I should post it up on the socials of Mickey Mouse and me and my Nissan Nation podcast patch representing on that hat, had always representing. But yeah, it was just a fun time. A little disappointed I wasn't able to make it on the trip, because I remember when I got the email, I'm sitting there like on the couch with my wife, like, "Hey, I got fucking invited to the Nissan trip. Listen to this." And I start reading it and everything. And she's like, "It's cool. When is it?" And I read the dates, and she's like, "Babe, we're going to be at Disney that week." He'll start turning of, "Yeah, but if I leave a day early, I could make it there or not." She's thinking, "No, you are not leaving Disney a day to go hang out with Nissan." So
right, it's like you hang out with Nissan for work. So the idea of your wife allowing you to spend more time with Nissan when it's a family time, I can see that a little bit.
Yeah, so luckily my invitation didn't go to waste. Us here at the Nissan Nation podcast, since we're so huge, we were able to pull sneaky snaky on Nissan. It's one of the ones you'll ever be able to pull, and we got Danny in there, Dave.
We did,
so it was Danny and Dave.
Many people don't realize though that we're more than just a podcast. We're very social media, and you may be sending pictures to somebody on the Instagrams that you didn't realize was part of the Nissan Nation. So, but yeah, and Mr. David Page, who was a good sport about it, he was like, "Man, you guys are sneaky." He's like, we were really trying to just spread the podcast out and bring you on a couple trips separately, and look at you guys. You weren't going to have none of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like you said, Dave, you might be sending it to XYZ page, and it could be one of us on the other side of those pages.
It could be.
So we like to keep it like that. You just never know.
That's right, man. So if obviously you're listening to this, you are fans of the Nissan Nation podcast and the Nissan Nation family. So, but man, Holden, I know I did a recap of the last show a little bit, but buddy, that was a great time, man. My hat's off to David Page of Fluid Peak Collective. They mapped out a great event. Nissan come in and they approved. Obviously, they approved of what the they all had a say in this. But they together, man. Both parties showed us a great time. There was lots of food, lots of drink, and lots of snowmobiling and Titans, man. So it was a great time. Obviously, you're part of a dealership, so it's not like you're never going to get to drive some of these vehicles. But I think it really shaped Danny's opinion of the Titan truck for the better. Yeah,
definitely one thing you can say for sure, because I know in some of our past conversations, obviously me being a salesman, I want to sell Danny a new Titan, and he's always kind of I don't really need one, this, that, the other. And pretty much as soon as y'all got back from the trip, he started seriously, hey, what's this? What's this? What about the pricing? What package comes with this and everything like that? So definitely it made an impact on him for sure.
Right. And, I think that's kind of what, obviously Nissan wasn't just hoping to the 20 people or show that was at their event, that's who they were going to sell trucks to, or else sales numbers be way, way down. But, that's kind of what they were looking for, man. They're wanting people that might either have one or have some interest, that shows some excitement about it. And, obviously when we get our hands on some of these vehicles, I'm pretty sure our audience knows we're going to be honest with them. But I really have no complaints about my Titan so far. For those that once the weather clears up here and we get out of this Noah's Ark weather pattern we're in, I'll actually finish up a video I'm working on for a 2 years ownership of a Titan. So you got that to look forward to. But I mean, it really is their social media. They're really trying to do something different. We've talked about it on the past shows about, their budget's not exactly what some of the big threes budget is. And I think for the better in some cases. I know you go over at the dealerships like, hey man, could y'all throw us a few more ads out there and spark some interest to it? But, we're going to see what happens. We've got the Nissan, the beginning of their year is actually coming up. So you'll actually probably see a lot more print ads and all kinds of fun stuff coming up. But anyways, Holden, how is the things at the dealership, man? I mean, we've talked a little bit, and it's been kind of gloom and doom for a little bit, right?
I mean, necessarily say completely gloom and doom. People are really completely hitting the pan, but you do see some signs of things that are concerning in a way.
Right.
But we have March coming up, typically usually a pretty good month. So that's kind of thing a lot of dealers and people in the industry are kind of waiting on is, okay, really good December, January, February. You've had a big shakeup with the Go news, everything else going on. So I think it's really going to come out down to how does March look, especially for and people like that, because at the end of the day, that's what it's really about. I mean, yes, Nissan needs to make their money, but if the individual dealers aren't making money, then why would they keep their stores open and things like that? So obviously we just got February numbers in. And since Danny's not here, we can actually go over some of those days since Danny rolls his eyes as we start talking anything to do with numbers. He thinks the Nissan Nation doesn't want to know about numbers, but me and you, Dave, we know better.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think Danny's misinformed because I think this is one of our hottest segments out there. We tend to get a lot of people asking, "Hey, when are you not going to bore us with numbers?" And but we like talking it, man. Clearly we're enthusiasts of the brand, and we kind of like talking about it. But let's just jump right into it. Oh yeah is right, guys, and I think there'd be some people saying, "Oh yeah," if these numbers jump up just a little bit, Holden. But let's get into it. So as we compare this time last year to currently, Nissan division is down about 15.6%. It's let's see, year to date they sold in 2019 they sold 194,174 vehicles, and in 2018, they sold 230,013 vehicles. So that is 15.6% change. I'm seeing a lot of minuses down here when I look at these vehicles, and some of them are a little concerning, man. You've got vehicles like the new Altima. Altima is their flagship really car now, and the new model's been out for 3 or 4 months, maybe.
October is kind of the launch month. You didn't really start seeing a good number kind of towards the tail of December. You started that real big selection of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 3-4 months.
So let's see. This time last year, they would still been selling the last generation Altima. They sold 19,703 of those bad boys, and this year it's not looking as great. They've sold 16,216. Now it could be like Holden had said a little bit. Nissan's had some leadership issues right now, and it's not because they wanted them. It's because of if you go back a few episodes, we discuss about it with the Gone issue. It's kind of rocked the brand a little bit, and it's not going to just rock one brand. It's going to rock, it's going to rock Renault, it's going to rock Mitsubishi, it's going to rock Nissan and Infiniti. So I really, and then on top of it, here in the States, we've got tariffs on metals and stuff now. So there's probably a ton of excuses that we could use for it. But I'm sure right now, currently, there's
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think with Altima, I think one of the bigger things you also got to look at, especially with that specific model, I will kind of give them somewhat of a pass. I know last year they were really trying to sell down the 18s. The Altimas were heavily incentivized. My bad. They were trying to sell down the 17s for the 18s. So you do have a little bit of that. Specifically, Altima was a pretty heavily incentivized vehicle. Right. This time last year, so I'll give them a pass on the Altima. You're rolling out a new, completely different model and some things like that. So Altima, we'll give them a pass on Altima, Dave.
Well, that and we also have to realize they are coming out of the car rental business. So that's still going to affect this just a little bit with some of these numbers.
Yeah, definitely. That's a bright spot that I'm looking. Kicks is up almost 3,000% for this February compared to last February, Dave.
Well, how could that be?
So last February they sold 0 kicks, and this past February we sold 3,563. And for those of you keeping score at home, that is actually more than Titan sold this month.
That is kind of nutty that so for the year they've sold 7,375 of those little bad boys, and Titan is the truck that it keeps fighting, man, but it boggles my mind. So we went on this trip with these Titans, man, and Nissan wants to sell trucks. Especially full-size trucks. There's big profits with those things, and generally they do pretty good rebates on these things, and it boggles my mind because you're almost getting into territory that the last generation sold, and this truck's been out for 3.5 years. I would think it's time on Titan that you're going to start seeing leases popping up. You're going to start seeing people generally hold on to a vehicle for 2.5, 3 years, and then they want a new one. So Nissan, it's time to refresh that thing real quick. Ford seems to do it every 2 years, man. So we cannot have a 15-year a Titan out there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that. There's some. You're gonna need to redesign some things. I mean, one of my things would be is just kind of look at these two models. I mean, the Kicks, it speaks to a certain demographic, but even when the Kicks first came out, I know myself. I mean, go back and listen to those shows. I was not a fan of it. Didn't think it was going to be successful. Thought it was kind of stupid. And now my wife drives one, and I think it's a really popular. But they really did a good job with how they marketed it, how they rolled it out. They did some very specific Kicks only. And the book I'm reading, Book of Five Things about samurais and stuff, he has a thing that he talks in his fighting style is the yin yang foot, Dave. And I kind of thought of that when I thought of Nissan and what we're talking about. What he talked about is if you're going to take a step with the left, you always take a step with the right. You never take just one step when you're fighting. And I feel like that's what Nissan's kind of done. We redesigned the Titan. We got the Cummins motor. And I feel like they've only taken one step. Like, they still have that safety. Like, we don't want to dive all the way in. And I think with this truck, you just got to dive all the way in and just be totally committed and say, hey, we're going after somebody.
Right.
And I think that's because they've taken the step in the right direction, but I think they just need to completely jump off that diving board because you can't win gold in a diving competition with 1 foot on the board, Dave.
That is true, man. But do you think in Titan specifically, because it's probably the best full-size truck I've ever drove. The Pro 4X model I have, just the regular non-XD gasser, is it's all I need, man. But do you think if they were to have partnered with Dodge Ram back in 2009, say that we'll just play for kind of giggles that this is the Dodge Ram partnership with Nissan, do you think they would be selling more of that vehicle? Do you think people are scared that it's just
I think they would, because honestly, Dave, I say it to pretty much everyone I talk to, more confident in the Nissan Titan this current generation than I've ever been. And why I say that is if you can get me, and what I've told Nissan is if you can at least get me on somebody's shopping list, I will put my truck up against any other truck. And it happened just a couple weeks ago. We had a customer, he had a Dodge Durango SRT. He was at the Dodge dealership, test driving a new 1500 Bighorn, just a really nice truck. And out on the test drive, he saw a Nissan Titan drive by on the other side of the road. He went back to the store, got his numbers and everything, and said, "Oh, guys, I'm going to wait. I didn't know Nissan had a full-size truck. I really like the look of that truck. I'm going to go check it out." Came in same day. He walks out in a brand new Platinum Reserve, the Midnight Pine, just beautiful truck.
Right.
And he said, he just saw it on the test drive. I had no idea that Nissan even made that truck. And that's one thing I kind of keep. Get me on someone's shopping list where they at least, and I promise you, we're just as competitive. We're just as good. And I continue to believe that, hands down. Just get me on someone's shopping list, let them pick out the truck, and I don't know, 7 out of 10 times we're winning.
Right. And speaking of shopping lists, hey, Xfinity, my internet's getting a little choppy here, guys. So I may be on the shopping list for a new internet service. You guys can't step it up. But anyways, back to this truck. So yeah, Titan sales, let's see, this time last year they sold 3,761 of those bad boys, and this February is not looking so good. They sold 2,722, and you go, okay, well, that's a lot of vehicles. Well, if you consider that I think probably the big three sell that in an 8-hour day, something like that. It's pretty ridiculous. But they're trying their best with the budget they have to get the name out there. And like Holden said, in many cases, people don't even know. Hell, in many cases, they didn't know they made one 15 years ago or whenever, 04, when that truck came out originally. So, it's a great truck. And I think if given a fair chance that they would sell a lot more of that vehicle. And I think what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to step up and they're going to have to do a redesign pretty quick. And I know that costs money. We're not talking about underpinning of the vehicle because obviously that works well. We're talking about you're going to have to, you ticked a lot of people off, Nissan, when you brought out that Warrior concept. You really teased. Nissan's a good tease. And they're a great first date because they will tease the crap out of you, and that's what they did with the Warrior, man. But speaking of, let's get into some other things. You've got Pathfinder. Pathfinder is due for a next generation. They went from selling 6,140 of those to 4,860. So that model is starting to come to an end. So that's kind of the writings on the wall for that. You've got Rogue. Rogue's still the little SUV that could, but sales are starting to drop on it just a little bit. Let's see. This time last year, they sold 74,303 of those, and now they're at 58,012. So that equals out to about a 21% drop, almost 22%. And I think the Rogue is also it's getting towards the end of that cycle too, right?
Yeah, it really is. I want to say current body style on that is 2013
or 14.
So it's definitely yeah. So it's definitely, I mean, it just got awarded a big pre-owned car award because it's one of the best value, top 10 best pre-owned cars. But what I found interesting is one of the things that it got the award for is because someone can buy like a 14 or a 15 and it still looks like the current one.
Right.
And so a lot of people who might like the new one, they go with the pre-owned because it still looks the same. So is it good? Good, yes, but is it one of those that there's two sides to that coin?
Yes. Well, do you think that maybe some of Ford and those guys that can refresh these models every 2 years, that's sort of a double-edged sword too, because on one hand, everybody wants the latest and greatest, and you don't want your 2-year-old truck to already look old. So some of these models, that Nissan stuck with, like the Frontier, dude, the Frontier still kicks ass, and that truck is old. And it's still, let's see, Holden, it's this time last year it sold almost 8,000. It was let's see, it was 8 short of selling 8,000 vehicles. And in this time, let's see, this month it sold 6,291 of those bad boys. Which, sure, it's not Tacoma numbers, but those are damn respectable numbers for a vehicle that shouldn't even be alive anymore.
And those are numbers now, and I think we've touched on them in the past, but that's almost like pure profit by now, Dave. I mean, like you said, redoing a vehicle that costs money, you got to spend money to do all that. The Frontier, it pretty much been the same. So they've been just making a lot of money with that same model because they haven't had to redesign anything. They've made really no investment to it at all.
Well, I'm assuming, because you're kind of in a high-end market, do you guys sell a lot of Frontiers?
I really don't. I sell a lot of like the Pro 4X. The Desert Runner is somewhat popular, and then I actually sell a lot of used ones. Yeah. I get quite a few people looking for that used Frontier, more so than I do the new one, because kind of like we were just talking about, if you say, hey, I want a Frontier, why not buy a 1 or 2 year old used one and save that money, because it does still look the same.
Right, and let somebody else take that hit on that new buying price. But let's see, we've got some positive though. Hey, Nissan, come on, guys. Yeah, I'm not just gonna talk about the negative. There are some positive things to this. And my favorite vehicle right
Dave's
now.
Dave's favorite vehicle.
Which one is that? Which one is that, Holden?
Let's see here. The NV, up 26%.
No, NV would not be my favorite vehicle. Armada, or as I like to call it, the Patrol, is actually sales are up on that thing. They this time last year they sold 2,548 of those, and now they're up to 3,190. So that is a 12.5% increase, and they've sold 5,392 for the year, man. So, I think more and more people are seeing the bargain of that vehicle and for what you get. And like the Titan, you could look at the you could look at a Land Cruiser and you're talking $80,000 to $90,000, and the Armada, Platinum Reserve is still in the 60s. So it's a pretty nice bargain.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely is, especially when you start looking at, premium, fully loaded, bigger SUVs. Not that $60,000 is a bargain per se, but completely to $80,000, yes, it is a bargain.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, if you got that kind of money to spend, definitely it's a bargain of sorts, right?
It is a bargain comparatively, yes. I will say that.
Well, so what else we got that stands out to you, man? We got some cars. We always talk trucks, but let's see, 370Z.
You got
that's
370Z.
They're down a little bit, but they don't sell a ton of that anyways. GTR is down a little bit, but I'm going to guess GTR sales probably go up in the summer versus winter a little bit. Sentra is still the little car that could. It's only down a tick. It's not, and that's probably just a fluctuation in the market. Versa trips me out, man. Versa is a little car that could too, because they sell the crap out of that thing. I'm always amazed at how many they sell of that car.
Yeah, that's depending on the market, great first car. That was credit, things like that. Versa is definitely a great car. Sentra, I think there is a redesigned Sentra on the horizon. I don't know the exact year model.
We've seen some hints of it.
Yeah. I saw some pretty much exact renderings of it. It's a great looking vehicle. Mm-hmm. So some of these numbers and everything, as you kind of look across them, I mean, you got a lot of these models that are, coming out with refreshes and redesigns on the horizon. So I think you're going to see, the auto shows, especially probably in the fall or summer rather, going to be pretty exciting. I expect a lot of fresh new faces to the 2020 and 2021 year models, Dave.
Right. Well, it's a new frontier, buddy, and I think those are those are coming up, man. But yeah, definitely. I really think 2020 is the year of the car, and I think 2021 might be the year of the truck. But who knows? We know. It's just things to look forward to. I know our Frontier crowd, you guys have been looking forward to this for a long time. So we're there with you guys, and I cannot wait to get my hands on one.
And we do at least finally now, Dave. I almost feel like we need to play the music again because more news is coming. But on the record confirmation that the Frontier is being redesigned and rebuilt and everything, I know we've already done our episode. I've seen actually someone from corporate Nissan going on the record with the reporter saying, yes, one is coming. So that in and of itself is huge news.
Well, and that was huge news because me and Danny were there when they were talking about that. And I got to meet the reporter that did that story and who broke that. And, of course, I think we broke that this time last year. So I don't think that's speaking of breaking news, what else did we break, Holden, that I guess we didn't even consider it breaking news at the time, but it was a big deal this past week.
Yeah, the Rocky Ridge news. There's big announcements all over Nissan's social medias and everything of the Rocky Ridge, and I hope I wasn't supposed to keep that a secret. No one ever told me if I was. But yeah, that the big announcement there, I know we had talked about it.
You guys have
I even have a video on YouTube already of it.
Yeah, but I guess the secret was out a little earlier than it was supposed to be. But yeah, Nissan is partnered with Rocky Ridge Custom Trucks, and they've got some new models coming out. And I know I don't know if you sold it yet, but you guys had a K2 model up there, and I know you got a new Armada that they've done, and they've done some lifts too. It looks really cool, man. That black Armada or that black Titan or gunmetal, whatever color it is sharp, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'd actually used Rocky Ridge years ago when the XD diesels first came out. We were one of the first dealers in the country to have the K2 package available for that. And my dad, his yellow one, he drove one for a while. Mm-hmm. But I got to, this has been a couple months ago now. Went up to their plant and saw the plant. where they're building the stuff, the painting with the faded. I know a lot of people have seen it, the gunmetal, faded orange, that flat paint that's real sharp looking. They do all that in-house.
Kind of Titan-esque.
Leather, wheels, tires.
Or kind of Warrior-esque, that paint job is.
Yeah, it's not. I would never want it, but I could definitely see there's definitely a market for it.
But it's like you said the other day.
But then too,
the right color is the color that the person wants, right?
Oh yeah. I was telling the customer that because they were asking me, what my favorite color was, and I pretty much told them my favorite color is whatever your favorite color is. Whichever one you're signing paperwork for, that's my favorite color.
That's right.
They got enough out of that. But then the other exciting thing with Rocky Ridge, on my visit up there, I got to meet a lot of their, technicians, a lot of guys who do designing some of the stuff that they build in house, and they're actually looking for input from the community. So they specifically were talking to me once they found out I was on the podcast, and I'd shown them some of the off-roading stuff we've done, and all that kind of stuff. And they were kind of asking my opinion on what are some other things that people might like to see in some of our future builds and stuff. So, guys, as you see some of this stuff,
so it's not going to be all just bro trucks. They really want to know, right?
They do. They really want to know. I even told them, I was like, why don't y'all just build a package and make one of these trucks a Warrior Titan? Right. Is one of the things I suggested to them. But even some little things, I know one thing I recommended to them, I don't know if they'll start doing it, but is the fact that on the Midnight Edition Titans, that is one of the most popular models to do, is it has the LED headlights and everything, but it doesn't have LED fog lights. So I told him, I was like, why don't you just go ahead and replace the LED fog lights? Because that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when you have that nice white light headlight and then that halogen bulb down below. And they were like, oh, they hadn't even really noticed it or thought about it. I was like, it's just that little touch sometimes that, makes a big deal. So as y'all see some of these trucks online, as you see Nissan sharing it, or if you see it on Rocky Ridge, go give them a follow too.
That's right. And let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Make some suggestions.
Yeah, definitely, man. These companies, they do want to know, and it's just like the trip that we went on to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, man. Nissan wanted to know. It's not like they just were there to wine and dine us and, hope we speak a few good words about their vehicle. Like, they were people there, they had, what's Fred's title over there? I can't remember. He's head of commercial truck sales or something like that. I mean, it was people that make decisions that wanted to, wanted to know our opinion of their vehicle and how could they make it better. So, like we always say, if you're positive, you just don't just like your truck's a pile of crap and stay positive. Good things happen. And speaking of positive, we've got a new segment on the show tonight. We've my buddy Holden over there is he's got all kinds of things that cross his mind from time to time, and we've what are we calling this segment, Holden?
It's called the what is Holden holding on to? And so essentially it's just going to be a weekly segment where I just give Danny and Dave a break. They're a little older, so sometimes they need to catch their breath. So just 2-3 minutes of me giving you a rant, a personal opinion, a compliment. It could be anything. So as we talk about socials and everything, keep an eye out on the Nissan Nation podcast socials, because you never know. I may be asking y'all, what do you want me to do a holding on to this week? Or I might be asking you what you are holding on to this week. And speaking of y'all's personal opinions.
And speaking of that, let's get right to holding on, and let's hear what you had to say, buddy, here on the Nissan Nation podcast.
Holding on just a minute. What's up, everyone? It's Holden from the Nissan Nation podcast. Welcome you to this week's episode of What is Holden holding on to? And this week's, folks, I'm holding on to a complaint, a gripe. We got a lot of fun, interesting, awesome news coming from Nissan this week on social media. Whether it be Rocky Ridge announcement, the Titan adventures that Danny and Dave went on, the Habitat for Humanity work truck that Nissan released, and on the record confirmation from someone at Nissan that the new Frontier is coming. So I'm looking around at social media, looking at the pictures, looking at the posts that Nissan's put on,
And I just see some people that are really pissing me off. So I want to bring you 3 easy steps on how you cannot look like a jackass on social media. Number 1, there are more customers than just you. Just because you would buy a Armada with a turbo diesel motor, with an off-road bumper, full set of skids, 37-inch mud tires lifted from the factory, doesn't mean that you should tell Nissan that they're stupid if they don't build it. There's a broader market that they're trying to reach. So whenever you're critiquing or giving suggestions, keep that in mind. Number 2, don't be negative if you don't have a solution. Saying that shit looks stupid doesn't get you anywhere. Try instead, I don't like that the new Titan doesn't have a sunroof. I would buy one if it had a sunroof. That is what you want. You gave a critique, and then you gave a suggestion on how you would fix that. We need more of that from folks. Number 3, please do not complain about your old ass Nissan on a picture of a new work truck build that they're releasing. That is not the place where you complain that your 2003 Pathfinder has an issue with a lower ball joint. It's just not, folks. I don't know what some of y'all expect. I guess maybe you expect Nissan just to say, oh, we're sorry you're having that problem. Here's a new car on us. There's a time and a place for everything. That just isn't the time and place to complain about your current problems with your Nissan. It just looks stupid. Other than that, that's all I got for this week. Until next time, keep on holding on, Nissan Nation.
There you have it. That was the first of many Holden. What is Holden holding on to? If I could say it, it would be awesome. But I want to. I'm excited to get your direct opinion. I mean, we talked to you, and obviously you're a big chunk of the show. But the kind of Holden's unfiltered opinion of what is, it's not just Nissan related. I mean, it could be whatever's in Holden's world, man. So we're excited to see where that new little segment takes us. And speaking of taking us places, let's get right to the interview tonight. We've got Mr. Ryan Miller. And Ryan Miller would be a big deal no matter what. But Ryan Miller applied to be on Truck Night in America, and he got on the show. And he didn't just get on the show. He got on the show, I won't say because, but a part of being military, man. They had a special show this past week where they were kind of a salute to servicemen and people who had served. And Ryan, man, we were all nervous, man. I'd heard some things about how Ryan may have done. I think Holden, he kind of messed with Holden a little bit. But the truth only comes out when the TV turns on. And Holden, he just amazed me how well he did in this show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many IFS vehicles have ever even competed in this show, but I'm pretty sure he made it further than anyone else could have ever guessed. I know talking to him, it went, no one necessarily made fun of him, but when he pulled up and he had the exterior there and everything, he kind of got I think some guys didn't really think it was going to be all that. And then the very beginning of the show, I mean, you pretty much saw what kind of driver he was and exactly what he was going to do to really win. And, dude, yeah, just all around, if you've ever met Ryan, you know how he is anyways. And you just knew he wasn't going to give it anything but 110%.
That is right, man. So we're going to get to this interview. It's a long one, guys, but I think it's really good because we went into not just, talking about his time on the show, but we went into how he got on the show and what you guys could do to get on the show. So without further ado, let's get to Miller time with Ryan Miller of Truck Night in America. All right, guys, so we have a legend in the house tonight. We have an Xterra legend, and as of last night, Ryan, I think if you go to an Xterra bar, all drinks are paid for, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was all paid for last night.
Oh, I bet, man. So those that don't know, our buddy Ryan Miller, who we've known for a long time, he attends Went with us. He'll go to Gone Moab, a lot of the events he attends, and I'm sure you've seen his battle axe, his rusty old Xterra. But Ryan was accepted to Truck Night in America, and when was that? Was in August, right? That you got the go ahead.
Yeah, it was down there in August, and was able to get the truck all shipped up and taken care of, and I had to get down there. I had about a 2-week notice to figure it all out, to get a roll cage installed and get down to Georgia. So yeah, that was back in August. So that was a blast.
Well, so I know kind of the process, but kind of let our audience know a little bit. What is the process? Because you have to apply and then you do some interviews, right?
Yeah, you apply online, and then you send some photos and you fill out some information real quick, and then the interviews start. So you get a couple of phone interviews. You'll do a Skype interview. They really just want to know all about you, individual, you want to be on the show, what you want to do, and then they also want to see you in your truck.
Right.
So I probably went through 5 or 6 different interviews, and finally got onto the show.
Nice, man. So I know Luke and a few, like this was season 2. So I know like the Xterra crowd was like, oh, maybe we can get on this. And so a bunch of them applied. And of course, you have a military background, which seemed to fit the last night's show, kind of what they were looking for, right?
Yeah, so they try to when they're setting up these shows, they try to match the trucks all evenly up, and at the same time they want to have a common theme that's going on with them. So you'll see like the Chevy versus Ford, or you'll see like a military episode, or you'll see like an all Ford episode or something something along those lines, where they really try to make sure there's a common theme that was there. So this was the one that just happened to fit for us. So we were able to go out there and represent what we got.
Well, and I mean, you definitely, everybody on there looked like kick-ass servicemen. So you got the call. I know you were scrambling, like you were saying earlier. You were scrambling because you have to put a cage in your truck, and your truck did not have any sort of a cage, right?
Oh yeah, no. So I tried arguing that it's built on a solid frame and it's got all this stuff on it. They're like, no, you got to install a roll cage. So yeah, I got together with Boondocks, Brian Turnquist. I felt really bad about that one because I know he was in the middle of working on his Frontier, and I just kind of showed up with my truck. I was like, hey man, it's go time. We got about a week to do this. So we were able to get it all together, but.
Do they give you some kind of outline of a cage, how it has to be, or is it just kind of up to you?
Yeah, no. So you got to have A pillar, B pillar, and then a crossbar in the back, and it's all got to be kind of tied together. So as long as everything is meeting their standards, and they check the trucks out too. So if you just try doing something half-assed, they won't let you go through with it, because there's an inspection team that actually checks your truck out before you compete. Was that the host at all, or is it a separate deal? No. The hosts weren't doing that. That was the part of the production team and everything. They make sure that the safety guys that are all there make sure that you're tip-top shape. All
right. So you kind of, like you were saying, I know Brian was like finishing up his SAS Frontier, and you show up, and I know what our buddy Luke went over there, and I think other than probably putting his logo all over your truck, I know he tried to help a little bit, but you guys were burning the midnight oil there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I showed up. God, I felt so bad because that guy had work and everything too. So it's just like I told my boss, I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. And like basically, I just went over to his shop, and I was sitting there doing what I could to get the truck up and running and getting good shape. So Boone, I felt so bad for that guy, man. We would be up all night long working on the truck, and then he would go to sleep, get a couple hours of sleep, and then he'd have to go to work, and then he would come back and he'd be working on my truck again. So I mean, I owe that guy everything right now.
Well, I mean, but you guys have been close for a long time, so it's I mean, I know it sounds like an inconvenience, but when you get a friend wanting to do a show like this, I mean, I think most good friends would do that for you.
Yeah, he was a trooper about it, man. He did a great job, and was really, really, really helpful with everything. So I'm really happy to have him as a friend. And, he's a great guy for the community. He's a great guy for the clubs. And he's one of the most knowledgeable Nissan guys that I know. So,
yeah, I got to get Brian on the show sometime, man, because he's built some crazy vehicles.
He keeps building them because he keeps destroying them.
Right. Yeah, I remember it's been, 2009 or so when I seen that first SAS Gen 2 Xterra he built, and then you read about it and it was like, well, he rolled it or whatever he did.
Yeah,
But
he rolled that one. He had the white one that hit some snow and spun that one into a telephone pole. What else was there? There was the blue first gen that he had. He basically just chopped that thing up, and then it just didn't work out. And then he had that Nissan Patrol.
Yeah.
What else did he have? He had the silver 2-wheel drive one.
Right.
That my girlfriend now owns. And then
that's part of the family
Frontier, Pathfinder. He's got the other white Xterra. It's like a graveyard of Nissan shit at his house. It's great.
He's worse than me then. But so you got the call, man, and of course when you did, I was like, hey man, if you need a place to stay, I was like, because I figured I was about halfway for you, and you rolled in, and I tried to sneak a few more stickers on our buddies over at Not a Jeep. I was like, dude, I'll try to get a sticker on Ryan's truck. And I woke up, like you were asleep, and I woke up that morning, and I was like, all right, slap this on there real quick. And I was off to work. But yeah, you were gone, and after that, it was like, well, we'll see you in a few weeks. It went, and we'll hear about the stories. But, like, you went radio silent on us, man. It was like, shit, what happened? And I know that you have to sign things, waivers and stuff, saying I will not talk about anything. But when you get down there, and I'm assuming the hosts don't really know you till first off, right? The way is it how the show kind of they meet you after you do the competition, or do you sort of meet them beforehand?
No. You meet them pretty much while it's all happening. So,
right.
They get profile packets on every single one of you. So as you're filling out all of your, interview questions and you're presenting all these pictures and all this other stuff, they get profile packets on you. So they get to read a little bit about you, but it's really go there all the time. Like, I think they're there filming for about 2 months or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they're there for 2 months, and they film every single episode that you're seeing here is all filmed in just a real short amount of time. So as guys are cycling out, like the first day that I was there when we were doing the pictures and everything, they had, there was the other crew that was there running the green hell. Actually, God, what was the guy's name with the purple Hummer?
The Hummer,
he was there just getting done. So we got to see the tail end of those guys. But it's go all the time when you're there, man. It's nuts. They do a real good job out there.
So I'm assuming each show is basically a day to film.
No, I was there for a week. Wow. 5 days. So, it's you just got a lot that's going on. So I mean, you got one day full of pictures, and then where they do the profiles and all that stuff, and then it's. One day you do a couple competitions, and then the next day you do a couple more competitions, and the third day you do more competitions, but you just got to wear the same clothes the entire time.
I was going to say, yeah, because you got to have continuity. But all right, so kind of, I mean, you broke it down a little bit there. So kind of for our audience, so you show up down there. Obviously, they inspect your truck a little bit. You said they were doing some, just some pictures and a little bit of video to kind of build for the show, and they just basically after that they sort of line you up, right?
Yeah. So you get kind of a day to, they do the pictures and everything. You get a day to sleep on it, and then next thing you know, you get pulled into a trailer real quick, and they're kind of going over the rules, and this is bumps and jumps. This is what you're gonna do. This is it's cool, man. You get lined up on the course there, and then you get sent out, and pretty much you go from there. So it's you do get to walk the course though and see what you're doing on that. So at least you can have an idea of what you're going to be getting yourself into. You're not going into it blind.
So the guy that we seen in the Lexus that just jumped and destroyed his vehicle right off. So he had an idea, because the way it looks on TV is like you don't know, and it's like these guys just take off. But so you do sort of have an idea. Yeah,
absolutely. So I was talking to Pistol Pete, at the bar, after the show was all done and everything, and he was saying, when they first did season 1, they were just going to have these guys go into it blind, and Pete said, he put his foot down on that, saying that is just, stupid. There's no way that you're going to expect these people to go balls to the wall without knowing what they're getting themselves into. So you do get to walk the course. You do get to check everything out and, kind of strategize and plan yourself.
Right. Well, and it looked like you, for the first challenge, you got the prime spot, I think.
Yeah. You know what? It was it's nerve-wracking when you're up there because you've seen the show before. You see what other people do on there where people are kicking sideways, this, that, and another. And the one thing that I was thinking was, I have to get out in front because if one of these, with me being in the middle, if some other truck on either side of me kicks out and, hits into me, like, I don't want to roll my truck in the middle of the first obstacle or something like that. So get out in front, just lead the pack and just go from there. At least get a little space between you and everyone else that's you're competing against, but it's tight.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked it. And when me and Kelly were watching last night, we noticed your truck, the ass end of your truck was like turned a little bit, and we were like, oh man, he's not straight at it. And of course, the outcome's already there, but we're still like, oh my God, how did they not line him up right? And but yeah, so you got the jump, right? So we'll just kind of go by each challenge. So we seen you sort of take off, and within the first couple 100 feet, you were out front. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was the only manual transmission one that was there, the only manual transmission vehicle that was there. So I just popped it in 4 high, and that was my plan, was just get out in front, lead the pack, and then from there I'll have some space. So yeah, I remember putting it in first gear. In 4 high, put it at about 4,500, 5,000 RPMs. And when they said go, I just dumped the clutch and I was just gone. So I was banging third gear by the time I hit the bottom of the hill, which I think was about 45 or 50, maybe a little bit faster. But I actually paused it I paused the video when I got back home here. And I don't know if you noticed that, but when the airbags went off, I paused it and you could see my tachometer right there. It's at like 5,000 RPMs in third gear. So that's cooking pretty quick. Yeah,
definitely. So is it like when you hear him say go, is it just like that it was on TV where it was Pete or whoever just on their little walkie-talkie and they just say go like that?
No. So they do that a few times so they can get like good coverage of the video and everything like that. But when it comes down to the actual one, you've got the headset on, you got a little radio that's in there with you, and then you finally hear someone on the radio that says, all right, this is it. This is actually, this is the actual competition. This is actual go time. When you hear us say go in your headset and we flag this, wave this green flag, that's when it's time to go. Right. So green flag, you hear go, go, go. That's when it's time for you to just send it.
Well, and send it you did, buddy. Like you jumped off there, man. I mean, and that's the Miller way. I'm not gonna lie. We've wheeled with you enough to know that you're just gonna do that, man.
Yeah, Luke calls that pulling a Miller.
Yes.
Just pull a Miller. Just do what you do. I'm like, all right.
But so you take off. I want to say, was it the little Jeep sort of kept up with you for a second, and then all of a sudden, what was it? The big Jeep, the JKU, and the Humvee kicked in, right?
Well, yeah, no, the AK with the JK, he was screaming next to me, so him and I were hauling down pretty quick, and then he checked up on the jump. I flew over, and then I'll be honest, I blacked out after that airbag went off. I blacked out. I don't remember a freaking thing when I was watching it last night. It was the first time I was seeing it going on too, so it was interesting for everyone. But yeah, no, I blacked out. The only thing I actually really remembered was going down through the moguls, and the truck just bounced off the rev limiters. So I remember shoving it in third gear and climbing up the hill. But my memory's starting to come back after I started watching the show a little bit more last night.
I bet. So that airbag, did it pop you? Did it get you in the face pretty good? I couldn't tell.
You know what, that 5-point harness had me, the 5-point harness in there had me cinched down pretty tight. So airbag, I never felt it. Okay. Never felt it, never saw it. Well, I did see it, but it's hard to miss with all the white smoke and everything inside of the truck. But yeah, no, that went off. I just remember just keeping the wheels pointed straight and just keep going. Right.
Well, I have to say Kelly was a little disappointed that you didn't pull the fuse on that. But everything she's read about the airbag fuse is it could still go off.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Breslin about that a little bit ago, and he was saying, he didn't think the airbag sensor was still going to go off with these aftermarket bumpers that were on there, but I've proven that wrong.
You've done the crash testing now. You can say for certain.
I think I've broken everything on this truck.
I think you have too. So that challenge though, that is built straight for that Humvee. because it's not a speed demon by any means, but that thing is made to just go over terrain like that and just keep going, right? Because I mean, and that's part of the coolness of your military background. You kind of had an idea of what that vehicle could do.
Yeah, I knew that thing was going to be a little slow. So it was a 6.5 diesel, non-turbo diesel. He just basically pulled that thing from a surplus center, but I knew that thing was going to go straight. I knew it was going to go a little fast. I knew it was going to be a little slow off the bat. So I actually, my biggest concern was actually going to be obviously AK with the Jeep next to me, but I thought Charlene was going to be screaming in that XJ really quick. But seeing her beat out Dave with that truggy, that was awesome.
Yeah, and what kind of happened to the GMC, man? Because they don't on the TV show, they don't ever tell you anything. They're just like, well, you're done.
Yeah, so he after talking to Dave after this was all said and done, he said that he had after one of the first jumps, he had a fuel line that like popped loose or something like that, because he's got an exterior tank that was set up, and I guess like one of the hoses disconnected, so he ran out of fuel. Trying to get up the hill. He basically got up the hill for momentum. Right. But if I remember correctly, that's what he said. So he would have been fun in some of those other competitions.
Right. Well. So the V8 JK, I think he was first, and then it was the Humvee, and then you were third, right?
Yeah, I got third place, and then Charlene snuck in there at the end with fourth place.
Right. So then you guys move on, and I'm not a very GM guy, so I was kind of happy to see see the GM kind of going on, but I've seen your truck, so I figured that even with no info, and I never wanted to bug you about it because it was just the fun of the surprise for me. And I know you had to be bugged like crazy about, well, what happened? But like, we did a stream. Me and Kelly were watching that show last night and did a stream on Instagram about it, and we're like screaming and hollering, just acting stupid. And then it's the next challenge, and what do they call that challenge?
Oh, it was that tug of war challenge.
Yes.
Hold on, let me see if I can get this thing pulled up here.
But it's like telephone poles or something is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, pole position. There it was.
Okay, and so were you the first on that, right? You and the Humvee, if I remember. Right.
No, it was
the
when they first do. The first one was between Charlene and AK. So
right.
the Jeep on Jeep. At least that's what I.
Yeah.
See here.
And like I really felt bad for her because there was at no point was she gonna ever, I don't feel like, beat that Jeep. Like that Jeep was really set up for this competition, and we'll get into that to a little bit. But so he easily won that one, and then we seen you go up against the Humvee, and I honestly I was like, because that thing weighs a ton compared,
Trust me, I was saying when I was up against him. I'm like, this is gonna suck. I was like, even Pete was saying he's like, all right, we're kind of at a big disadvantage here right now. So he was like, just try not to break it, and we'll get back in the losers bracket. And I'm surprised I didn't show it, but I looked at Pete and said, I'm just gonna win now.
Right. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this.
Yeah.
But what you had going for you is, I really think, is that manual transmission, and he's not. There's no turbo on that diesel.
Right. Yeah. To get that truck spooled up and get that. I mean, hell, I got a diesel Excursion. The same thing. Trying to get that thing spooled up and get going real quick. It's slow as hell, but it's definitely got a lot of power on the top end there with it. So I was happy just to be able to get the jump on that guy. Right,
and of course that paid off for you in that competition because you had pulled the center tower towards you a little bit, and I think that was all due to that you got the jump on him. But I was happily surprised that they called it because like you two weren't going anywhere. It was a David versus Goliath kind of thing, and like I was really surprised how the Xterra just dug in and. Of course, he just couldn't get any tire spin, right?
Well, I think he's only got a locked rear axle in that thing. I don't know if it's locked in the front, but I locked up front and rear aired down a lot and just gave it hell. But yeah, they have that competition run for 3 minutes or something like that. So it's basically at the end of the time, whoever's the furthest, gets the win on that one. So I was happy to start spinning some tires. I was the same thing, first gear again, both lockers engaged and just just ripping it.
Right.
And I was able to pull off the win on that one. But I wasn't expecting to win that one either. But you can even see in the video, if you look when they do the overhead view, you can see the white marks next to where the tires are at, because I was crab walking that thing all over the all over the place.
Oh yeah, and your motor was smoking too, man. I think it seemed like you could see it steaming out pretty good after that one. Yeah, it was hurt, but you know what, that little 6.0 was holding, 6.0, excuse me, that's the excursion. The 4.0. The 4.0 was holding real strong on that. But yeah, I was bouncing that thing off the rev limiter pretty hard, and then finally I slowed it down to about 4,000 RPMs. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Right. Well, too bad this show wasn't like maybe 5 years ago when they were still building the Xterra, because that would have been one hell of an ad right there.
Hell yeah, it would have. I'm still hoping that, hopefully we opened up some eyes over there and they can maybe bring this truck back.
Well, trust me, if the listeners know, on the last show, I gave them hell about the Xterra. So I just spent for those that haven't listened, I just spent about a week with Nissan execs, and yeah, they know my feelings on a few things. But okay, so then they line up. And do you guys get to watch? So after you sort of win, do you get to kind of watch? You guys are off in the background, or do they just take you away so you don't know?
You do not get to see any other competitions or competitors or anything like that. So like when me and Adam were, when AK and Charlene were going, they ship you off to the side. You don't get to see anything. They put you in a van. They put on music, so you can't really, you can't really hear anything that's going on. You can't see anything that's going on. I mean, that, and it's hotter than hell down there in Georgia. Right. So, they put you in this nice air-conditioned van. You just kind of hang out for a little bit, and your trucks are over there. You don't get to see anything, hear anything, so you have no idea what's going on with any of the other competitors. And then there's staff that hangs out with you the entire time too. So, if any, excuse me, if any of the competitors, are by each other, there's always a staff member that's there with them to make sure that nothing's being said, nothing's, outside of the realm of what shouldn't be talked about. So they keep a real tight leash on everyone there.
And it's a game show of sorts, I guess. It's a challenge of sorts. So yeah, you can't have, people trying to plan anything together, I guess.
Yeah, they I think they said that might have happened last year, where there was two people that knew each other, and they were kind of in cahoots, which is not good. So they really tighten it down on everyone.
Yeah, well, it's a shame that people have badass trucks and then they want to go to that. But so the little XJ that could. There was the losers bracket, and of course you're watching this for last night. I mean, obviously the outcome when you're at the show and people aren't there, but how surprised were you that she was able to hold her own with that?
So I remember that. Okay, so AK and I were down there in kind of the winners area, just kind of hanging out and just shooting the shit down there, and they call us back up, and they pretty much line up the trucks like. They line up the trucks to do the exit, video to go off to the garage and everything. So we saw Adam's Hummer that was sitting there over still by the poles, and Charlene was over by the other section. And then they were like, "Okay, Ryan, AK, Charlene, let's go." And like me and AK looked at each other, and our jaws just dropped. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me! Charlene with the XJ tugged the Hummer. We're like, what the hell happened? Of course, she can't talk about it. No one can talk about it. So we're like, fuck, we gotta wait till the show comes out.
Was her vehicle locked at all?
No, she was open.
Oh my god, man, that's amazing.
Open on them bald 33s. I was like, what?
Right. Yeah, and yeah, I seen those that is tires on that thing, and I was like, man, I think I would have opted for some tires over a snorkel on this truck. But obviously that truck wasn't built for this either. It was just, I'm sure that's just her little off-road truck, and
she's got a $500 rough country lift on that thing, and she just wheels the shit out of that thing. I love it.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. And I mean, you could see it just on the TV show. You could see the surprise in her face too that she did that, because I think once you got to the next competition, really the next competition is where off-roading starts kicking in. That was out of all the challenges I've watched, that was the first. I really liked that challenge. Now, the ones they do where they push the stupid things off the cliff, that makes no sense to me. I'm sure it was entertaining in somebody's eyes, but so I was kind of like, oh, please don't do that with Ryan and them. I don't want to. I just don't. It's not entertaining to a real off-road, guy. But when you got to do that, man, I was like, holy shit, that looks fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I had an original game plan going into that one, but this was one of the thank you. This was one of the competitions where, I had a game plan going into this whole thing, but then it really just fell apart right at the end because, you could, even being inside of the van, you could hear the other competitors that were already doing their thing. And with the amount of carnage that I heard going on, I was like, oh man, I got to go fast. I got to go real fast on this.
Right.
Because I was between going to Moab and Wentz and all the different places that we go to, this was just kind of like any other ledge that you would normally see. Right.
Right.
So that's originally what I was thinking. I was like, okay, cool. We're going to come up, we're going to crawl up on this thing, coming on an angle, do this the right way. And after I heard all that going on in the, inside the van, I could hear all the carnage happening. I'm like, oh crap, I got to go fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so that's,
do you think that's where your start of your diff problems started happening?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Cause my plan with that one was, for the 4 horsemen there, I was going to be in 4 high. I was going to race down to the bowl as quick as I could. And then down there in the bowl, that's actually where I stalled it out at.
Right. Well, that's a Miller trademark. I mean, anytime I've led you up like on Trail 16 at Windrock, you're going to stall out a couple times. That's just a Ryan thing.
Yeah. I like to feather the clutch a little bit.
Right.
But
and I told Kelly that when we were watching. I was like, that's just Ryan being Ryan.
Well, I got down to the bottom. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to put it in 4 low. 4 high on the way down, 4 low on the way up. So I get the speed on the way down. And then at the bottom there, same thing, clicked it in 4 low, hit all the switches, hit both easy buttons. I was just like, and then I stalled it out and I was having little problems down there in the bowl. And I was like, oh shit, I got to go.
Right.
So the whole plan just went to hell from right there. So I just pointed it, gripped it and ripped it and just started going. And that's when you saw me just really, really beating the ever living shit out of that truck.
Right. Well, and the JK, like he 40s were perfect for that. And I hate to say, like, everybody was stacked. He was the leading the field no matter what, unless that dude could not have drove, and we all know who that guy is and knew he could drive. If you just had some guy that had a mall crawler, I would have worried. But that truck with them tires was built perfect for this. And of course, then you were, you're on 35s, and then she's on 33s, and if you had to kind of all fucks given, just go. Like, she really had to, and she beat the crap out of her truck pretty good there.
Yeah, she smashed up a rim, popped a tire, just did everything. But like I said, like I said earlier, you can't see any of these other competitors that are doing this. All you can do is hear it. So you can hear, like, the carnage that you guys are seeing, I was hearing, but I had no idea how fast she was going. So that's why I was like, okay, we gotta go fast and make this happen.
Well, who went first?
Charlene went first.
Okay.
Because I remember AK and I sitting there in the van, and we heard all this carnage going on, and him and I looked at each other. We're like, "Oh shit, we got to go." Right.
So they acted like on the show that it was close, but it really wasn't that close.
So we overheard them saying that Charlene set a course record on that. Mm-hmm. When him and I jumped out of the van after everything was done, we heard him scream. We heard some of the guys screaming like, "That's a course record." So I'm like, well, if that's a course record, how fast did she go?
Right. And of course, they don't tell you anything at all. And
no.
So I think what she was 2 minutes something, and you were a minute.
Minute 30 something.
Yeah. So I mean, you had a pretty good, even for stalling out. If you wouldn't have stalled out, I don't even think it would have been a competition between the two. But being on 33s and she's open. Like, for those that don't off road, if you're a car guy, she's got 2 tires pulling at any time. Where Ryan and them their axles are locked, so they had traction. And I was very impressed with her and her abilities.
Yeah, she's been wheeling for a long time. She's a badass chick, and she knows how to have a lot of fun with that truck. So we've already been talking with her, telling her that she's got to get some lockers, and it'll open her eyes. But
oh yeah,
we'll help her build that truck up, and she's over in Memphis. She's not far away, a little bit away from you. But
yeah, I seen she was from she's from California, but she's stationed with the Navy in Memphis, that always strikes me funny that the Navy has something on inland. So after that, you find out you win, and what came up next for you on the competition?
After that, we went back to the garage, and that's when that's when it all kind of set in. Like, okay, we're actually doing this. Like, we're actually going to go to the green hell, and what we actually said we're going to come here to do, we actually did. And you kind of reflect and look back at your competitors. Like, okay, I had this truggy on 44s. Had this chick wheeling the shit out of this badass Jeep. I got this Hummer, and now it's just me and AK. I'm like, oh my God, like this is actually it, man. It was exciting. It's one of those things where like you don't know whether you're gonna throw up or just be super excited. So
yeah,
you might have done just a little bit of both. But yeah, no, can't just get back to got back to the hotel, showered, just try to relax a little bit and take some, sleep a little bit on it, and watch one of the previous episodes so you can kind of get a feel for what's going on. And I felt like, oh man, cool. I felt like Cool Runnings, where like I was sitting in the bathtub, like reading all the turns and everything.
Well, so do you leave your vehicle in those garages that we see then?
Yeah. So we left them there. We left them there overnight. So you get to go into the shop and you work on your truck a little bit, and some of the other mechanics are there, making sure your truck's going to be good to go. There's other guys that are there that check up on your truck and make sure that it's in good shape, because obviously they want a good showing and they don't want to see anyone blow up a truck. So yeah, there's a whole team of guys that are there working on your truck and making sure everything's all good to go for you.
Were you surprised that doing that competition, the obstacle course you just did, were you surprised they pulled the bumper off?
Well, he told me we're pulling the bumper off. I'm like, why? He's like, because we're gonna need it. We're gonna need the room. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. Like, I don't care. It was more of a pain in the ass to take it off and put it back on.
Yeah, and I don't think really it would have mattered for you. And maybe weight wise, it was nice to not have that. Let your suspension up travel a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I had all the suspension going that time.
but
it was all right. I mean, he said we're gonna take it off. I trusted my coach's judgment. He said this is what we're gonna do. I was like, all right, man, let's go for it. You know what we're doing.
Well, could you imagine the guy in that purple Humvee or Hummer? They're saying, hey, we're gonna disassemble your truck a little bit, because that one was definitely a mall crawler.
Oh, absolutely. But
which I think what cost him that competition too, because he didn't want to, when he got up on the cars, he just didn't want to kind of push it. Yeah,
he was. That AK and I talked about that too, and it was we were talking about it actually at the show there. It did seem like for the first season they did have a lot of people that were on the show that just had really showy trucks that they didn't know how to wheel, and it seemed like with our episode like. They were dealing with some people that actually knew how to wheel and what was going on. So, I was excited about that one. But yeah, no, there are some guys out there that do build badass trucks that just don't know what to do with them. So.
Right. Well, and I've even heard that some of them, maybe in season 1, that they didn't even own these vehicles. It was just somebody's truck they grabbed and did the competitions with. But either way,
I didn't hear that, but that's awesome.
Either way, I mean, it's easy to be a guy watching on TV like, oh, that's nothing, man. But the going up the cars, I mean, and we'll get into this, but that's not a, by the time I think now they look pretty crushed down, but that's not an easy challenge. So.
It is so much bigger this year than it was last year.
Oh, really?
So like if you see last season's. Like the bumps and jumps in the first one, like if you look at a vehicle as it's driving at you and you look at one of the bumps, like the bumps are actually really not that big. They're like maybe up to the windshield of a truck. This year, it was freaking huge. Like TV, TV makes it look kind of smaller on TV, and everyone could be judgmental about it. I mean, hell, even I was doing the same thing where I was watching it, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that bad. But then when you get there and you realize like how big all these challenges are, like it's intimidating. Like it's scary, man.
Right.
Like I think they even did a shot of me there in the beginning where I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah, you but you had some focus to you, man. I definitely like. I mean, because we know you, so, you could sense if, like, something was kind of bothering you. But, no, you, like, that time when they said that, yeah, you could see a little bit of nerves in you. But after that, it was, like, pure focus. What they showed on TV.
Yeah.
But
yeah, everything's a lot bigger. Even that car graveyard, like, I walked that course, too. And the car graveyard, it doesn't look that bad. But you're probably going up, probably a 60, 70-degree angle or something like that. Like, you're pretty much going straight up these things, and it's just like being on the one thing I kind of reflected on was like being on Hell's Revenge, like when you're going up that giant climb and you can't see anything but the sky in front of you.
Right.
The same thing, at least in that, you could look out your window or something like that to make sure you're on the course. But with this competition, you're strapped into the 5-point harness. You're really buckled down. You can't really look out the window that much, so you just kind of point it up at the sky and just go and hope you're going the right way.
Trust that it's pointed in the right direction. So you make it, and in the show before you go up to the Green Hill, obviously your truck was broken then, like because they only show you guys under the truck for a second, but I thought I heard something about something wasn't right or.
Yeah, when we were in the garage before that, I sounded like the drive shaft might have let a U-joint loose or something like that. So I heard something kind of banging around. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I think after the Four Horsemen there, I knew something was a little broken, but I thought it was a drive shaft. So I got under there. Drive shaft looked solid. Shaked it around. Everything was good on it. So, but yeah, as soon as I got off the starting line, I was in third gear and 4 low, which I keep kicking my ass about this because I really wish I would have been in 4 high for the first half of the competition.
Right.
So yeah, I wish I would have been in 4 high for the first half of the competition because I think I probably would have gotten a little bit further with it. But I was in low, I was in third gear, popped off, and as soon as I came down, I think I had a little reverse torque that went on with the front diff there, and that thing just freaking exploded on me.
So you knew right when it exploded?
Yeah, so I mean, same thing. You have a plan as you're going into everything, and then all of a sudden things change just like that, and it's you got to figure it out. So, yeah, no. So as soon as I knew that the front diff was blown up, I was like, okay, just go as far as you can.
Right.
Just keep going as far as you can because you only get so much time to actually complete the course. There's a time limit that's on it. So, and I used every minute of it, but yeah, no, I just went as far as I could. I knew it was broken. I knew it was hurt. And I was like, man, you just got to keep going. Right. So that's not to shake that one a little bit, but that's kind of where the military stuff kind of kicked in. Like, you just got to keep going, keep moving, just get as far as you can. Just keep, brushing off what you can and, figure it out along the way. So.
No, but I mean, definitely, because we've seen people on the show, they just give up, like quickly, just give up.
Yeah, that's what Abe and Glenn were saying when, off the camera there. They're like, man, you weren't winded, you weren't anything. Like, you just got to keep going. And he was like, some people come down here and they're just not in good shape. He was like, they've had to have medics come down there because people get stuck in the mud and they're huffing and puffing. And he's like, man, you guys are just cool, calm, and collect, man. He's like, you and AK both. You get out, just hook up to a tree just like nothing's going on.
Yeah.
Winch yourself out of there. Who knows? Maybe 10 grand will be at the end of it.
Well, you know what was nice about that when you were winching? That you actually used a tree saver. Not a lot of people I see do that. And I mean, it's a competition, but there are people that we'll say the kind of know-it-all overlander guys who will be on the internet bitching and fussing before anybody. I mean, at least they can't fuss about that stuff,
Yeah, no, and the staff was actually really cool there. So I had steel cable on that winch at first, and they made me swap out for synthetic line. So I got a brand new worn synthetic line, and then they gave me a tree strap as well. So nice. I mean, I had one in there, but they said it wasn't good enough, or it was whatever the case was, it was frayed or whatever. They're like, you need to use this. I'm like, all right, we'll shake Warren a little bit there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, use the tree strap. Actually, I'm surprised they didn't show this one, but I actually had to use a snatch block too.
Really?
So I was the first competitor ever to use a snatch block. And I'm surprised they didn't show that. But yeah, I was talking to Glenn about that. He's like, you were the first guy ever to use this. No one has used one. No one's, ever used one before. So
do they kind of supply you that stuff? I mean, obviously you're an off-roader, you're going to have that stuff, but do they kind of supply so everybody has the same stuff or?
Nope. No. So they, as you're getting ready to do the green hell, they like same thing. They pull you into the trailer. You talk about everything real quick, and the competitors and the competitions and the guys there tell you, they're like, whatever you have in your truck or on your truck to help you get through this course, you could use. Right. So I got those ammo cans that are hanging out, above the truck, and that's where I carry all my quick recovery stuff. Like I got my straps up there. I got shackles, soft shackles, and then the snatch block. So everything's right there up on top. But yeah, so when the front diff blew out, I didn't have any way to have the front tires spin and really kick any of that mud out of the way. Mm-hmm. So I was pulling not only the Xterra through all that mud, but then all the mud that blocked up in front of it. Right. And, it finally got to the point where the winch was starting to overheat and really not work all that well. And Glenn was like, what are you going to do from here? I'm like, I got this. Grabbed the snatch block, hooked it up to the tree, hooked the winch cable back through the snatch block, back to the truck, and double the pulling power, and was able to pull myself completely out of the mud. They didn't show it on TV, but I did get completely out of that mud hole all by myself.
Nice, man. That's awesome because, yeah, they sort of course, they're going to edit. They have to edit this for a little drama. And, but, yeah, I really wish they would have shown you use the snatch block, man. I mean, I don't know. It seems like that would have just been something cool, and maybe they just don't want people, trying to use. Who knows, man. There's all liability to everything, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping they were going to show that, and they were taking a whole bunch of pictures with me, like with the snatch block. So like even like in they call them the hero shots. Right. I'm there with the snatch block out there. I felt like one of those display girls on Price is Right or something like that. Like here's the snatch block.
So you wait for Drew Carey to tell you how much it's worth.
Exactly.
So we'll get back into the beginning of the. So you take off, and on TV, anyways, they show it looks like you're moving pretty slow, but you get to the bridge, and tell us about the bridge because I think on TV it doesn't do that bridge justice of how probably scary that is.
So yeah, between last season and this season, if you look at last season, that bridge was actually pointing straight out. And now with this season, it's pointed like straight up on a 45. Mm-hmm. And I remember climbing up that thing, and you just keep going and going and going with the same thing. It's just like you're just looking up into the sky, and like that the end of the thing is going to be coming real soon. But I remember screaming into the mic, I'm like, is this fucking thing ever going to turn over? What? So I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, you just keep climbing, and then all of a sudden it slams down, and you can move on from there.
And from there, of course, you get into the mud pits and stuff. Or is it the cars that you drive over next, or I can't remember.
No, I'm getting it pulled up in front of me right now. Here we go. So yeah, you do the bridge, and then you go through the woods run, I believe. Mm-hmm. Hold on,
which looks a little narrow when you go through the woods.
No, the cliffside whoops.
Okay.
So yeah, you do the straightaway, then you do the drawbridge, and then you do the cliffside whoops, and that's the one where guys will be rocking through that, and then you got the log jump that's there. That's where normally guys fly through the air, and I already knew my truck was pretty beat up then at that point, so I was just trying to go just as far as I could, but.
So what you're saying is
hell, I wish I would have been able to go faster through there.
Right. So you were being a little conservative there, is what you're getting at.
Yeah. Like I said, I had to at that point. Because right even before the drawbridge was there, I already knew the front diff was blown. So it's like, all right, well, let's see how far we can go.
Right, and that's what really sucks is that it was something mechanical that just that happened because you don't see that in that end of that competition because usually the trucks are built pretty good by then. That you don't see like that kind of, and of course the front diff on the Nissan Xterra is. It is a known weakness of that vehicle.
Yeah.
Nissan,
so it was,
Nissan, if you're listening.
The 3 rib still blows up. I cracked that thing straight in half and ground every freaking gear off that ring.
Right. Yeah, and you sent me pictures of that. We'll post those up on our Instagram. So you get to that, and you get through the mud where you've got the little snake in through the mud, and your truck actually turned well, and it looked like it was doing pretty good through there.
Yeah, the kaolin flats. So that stuff is amazing, man. I've never had to deal with kaolin before, but when it's dry, it's as hard as concrete. But when it's wet, that shit is slicker than snot.
Right.
But it's pretty cool, just being able to drive through all that stuff. But after that,
and the
kaolin
Jeep
flats was
the Jeep had some
graveyard.
issues with that too, because I'm assuming with the 40s he just doesn't have the turning radius that you had.
No, I don't think so. So
he would have been best to
he
put
had
it
to
in
back
two-wheel.
up a little bit there.
Seemed like he'd have been best to put it in two-wheel drive through there and just kind of drift through that the best he could.
Yeah, he would have been much easier for him that way.
Right.
But kick the ass end around. But it's hard to see from the video that they show there, but there's like little like creeks that are running through that kaolin flats area. So like if you slide too far off of one of those turns, like you're all of a sudden 35-inch tire deep in some creek trying to back out on some stuff that's slicker than slicker than snot.
Yeah, no, you definitely can tell it's a very oily, slick mud when it is wet. But so let's lead up to where kind of you're ending. So you get through all of that, and then it's what do they call the mud pit that you drive through? Does it have a name?
The snake swamp.
Yes.
Well, yeah. After that was the car graveyard.
Oh, okay.
After the kaolin flats. There's there was like the wobble boards after that.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of those?
The wobble boards?
Yeah, because they look kind of goofy, but they're definitely challenging.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically you got one log that's in the middle that's running, parallel with your truck, and then you got a bunch of perpendicular ones that are there. The boards are just there in the middle. But yeah, that's an interesting obstacle, man, because I think the IFS really worked out well in that position because you're able to just put it right down the middle and just go.
Yeah, because the Jeep actually slid off of it a little bit.
He almost. I talked to him after that, and he got super far off on the left-hand side. He said he almost, when he slid off the logs, if he would have gone a little further to the left and actually went over the logs, he probably would have flopped onto his side.
And I'll be honest, we were kind of cheering flop. I hate to be that way, man, but obviously we wanted to see you win. But yeah, when he got over there, man, me and Kelly were kind of going nuts of like, oh, he's gonna roll, and damn it, he didn't. So the way I see that kind of that final mud, and is there a bend before you get to it so you cannot gain speed to that?
Yes. Well, before that is where you've got the pond crossing and the roller coaster, so you got the wobble boards, you got the roller coaster that's right there, and then there's the pond crossing. I want to just mention about the pond crossing because it was that's where I knew that the Xterra was probably going to be good right there, especially with the snorkel, because that water is actually super deep. But my diff was so blown up at that point that I couldn't even get out of the water on my own power. I actually had to winch out of that pond. Did
you really? I
did.
They don't show that on TV, do they?
No, they didn't show that one. They just said, Ryan got through it. Look at him go. I'm like, okay, well, it was hurt a lot more before that, so I had to winch myself out of that pond. Actually, that's where my bully dog tuner came into play too, because I was throwing codes left and right at that point. So my truck actually went into limp mode right there.
Oh no!
As soon as I got out of the pond, yeah. So as soon as I got out of the pond, my truck was in limp mode, and I was like, oh shit. So I went on the bully dog tuner, and I went to the diagnostics. I cleared all the codes real quick, just did like a quick system reset on it.
Right.
I was back at full power and just started ripping, as fast as I could to get back out of there.
Well, that's actually kind of nice because not a lot of people would run those in this situation, and so it was nice that you basically have a computer that you can tap into.
Yeah, everything was plugged in right there to the OBD2 port. Was able to sit there and just clear all the codes real quick. That then the brain of the truck thinks it's working all right again, and that's when you can just start ripping. So I had full power back. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Right.
And then and then I started getting up there to Snake Swamp, and I mean, it was that truck was clanking and banging all over the freaking place at that point, and I was just like, man, I got to get through this swamp.
Well, the only thing I could see that I was hoping you would see, and I hope when I see everybody do it, is just basically if you could build speed to launch, just to launch as far as you could. And it's not really a jump there, but it seems like even if you weren't broke, I knew that was going to be a rough spot for you, because that's where probably the IFS isn't at best.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got a lot of metal that's hanging down there at that point. And you're getting all caught up in the mud and everything. So, I mean, dealing with the Midwest, man, and with the whole GLX crew, the way with the parks that we run off to, there's a lot of mud you got to deal with. So we've gotten kind of used to dealing with mud, and it's all right. So we've got the mud all figured out how to get through it. So I knew that part was going to be a challenge for me too. So
right. Well,
I knew I was going to have to win at least once.
I figured you'd go ahead and change an alternator while you were there, because you seem to like doing that.
Lucky number 12.
Is that's what I think I said last night, is I think he's changed 12 of them damn things, and Kelly's like, no, he couldn't. I know he's done a lot, but it can't be that many. And I was like, Ryan likes mud, so
yeah, I'm on lucky number 12, or actually, excuse me, I'm on number 11 right now. 12 is sitting in the garage just for when 11 breaks.
Just itching to jump in there, huh?
Yeah, it's just I got it down to a science. Nuts and bolts in science. That's all these trucks are.
Right. So did you in that final competition? Who went first in that?
I went first on that one. So
okay.
Since AK ran the Four Horsemen, since he ran that one faster, he had the choice of deciding whether he wanted to run first or second. So he let me run. He let me run first.
That's kind of stuff they should show in the show a little bit, man. You know, I mean, it's just some strategy to it. I know it's an hour-long show, but it just seems like some of that would be kind of fun to see on TV of them going, well, who wants to go first?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't even really they let whoever won the previous competition in the fastest time, they gave him the option of deciding whether he wanted to go first or second. But we got to go with the safety crew and go run the course real quick with them, in a side by side, so you can kind of see everything you're gonna get into and everything that's gonna happen. So. But yeah, the safety crew that's in there too, man, they did an awesome job. They don't show that either, but as you're creating dust, those guys are no more than 50 feet behind you, making sure that if anything happens, they're there to make sure you're doing all right.
I don't know if it was your show or I watched the one that was Wednesday nights. I actually watched it right before your show, and there's the only time I've actually seen the video crew in a side by side. There was one where you could see them driving right beside one of the competitors. I don't think it was yours, but I think it was those the full size SUVs they did.
Yeah. So they had those Rangers, and then the oh man, what are those? It's not a little Ranger. What are those other side by sides called? The Razors.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's the safety guy Jeff. He runs around. He's chasing after you with those. But yeah, they are on top of you, making sure that you guys are all right. So
right.
There's a lot that goes into it, so it's really cool to have those guys out there with you.
Definitely. So when you ran it, after you ran it, and of course there's disappointment because everybody wants to finish it, but you still, for a broken vehicle, you got quite far, because that's the last. That swamp is like the last challenge, right? Besides going up the final hill to win. Yeah.
Other than that, there's the Kalen climb. So that's as far as I got, and they were all saying they're like, man, you don't believe. It's hard to believe, but not a lot of people get this far. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about the Ford competitions. Actually, the guy Wes texted me a little bit earlier today from the mid-season, all Ford episode. He's like, man, you went further with a broken truck than I went with a perfectly good truck.
Wow.
He's like, that's awesome, man. He's like, good on you, brother.
Nice, man. And it's nice because you guys have a little community page, I think, that y'all all chill out with, so you can talk a little bit, right?
Yeah, so I know all the season 1 crew guys. They're all hanging out together, and they all shoot the shit with each other. Actually, during the filming of it, I think they were all down there at Windrock, all hanging out. So yeah, we're starting to build up the season 2 crew, and everyone's been so nice about everything between the season 1 guys and the season 2 guys. Everyone's starting to get to know each other, and it's cool. It's cool. it's cool enough just having this off-road community as we do, but just, you know, being able to have all these other people out there as well,
right,
is really awesome.
So after you got as far as you did and you knew that Jeep was coming up, did you think, oh man, I have a chance, or did you know, because you've seen that rig by now wheeling, you know kind of what to expect with it?
The only things that were going through my head off the bat was like, okay, I knew that AK didn't have a snorkel, because he doesn't like mud.
Right.
So, you know, he likes to do climbing and, you know, rock crawling and stuff like that. So not that I was hoping that this was going to happen, but I was really hoping like he might suck up a little bit of water and, you know, not get the truck going. But, you know, that was the only thing I think I could think of off the top of my head, in which, you know, that would be the only chance in which I could win. But after I got out of that mud hole myself, you know, I was talking to myself as I was driving back up to the waiting area, and, you know, I did want AK. If I'm gonna lose or win, okay, I don't want to win or lose by like 40 feet. Like something, you know, I don't want it to come down to something where, you know, neither of us finished. Like,
right.
Someone had to finish. So, you know, although I would have loved to win, at the same time, I wanted one of us to complete that challenge.
Right.
You know, someone's got to finish it, or else, you know, we're representing the military, you know, for this episode. So you got to get to the finish line. You know, there is no quit. There is no saying no.
That's right.
You get to the finish line. So if I wasn't able to make it, at least I wanted the guy that I was competing against to make it all the way.
Right, and it's objective at hand, man. You gotta finish the, you know, what they sent you out to do. So I know on TV it looked like AK he was having a blast. Like, I mean, the truck is that, I hate to, you know, not shitting on your truck by any means, because I love the Xterra, but that truck was built for that competition, really, right? I mean, you couldn't do better than that.
Yeah, no, he's got that thing really well built. I mean, he's got that SRT8 that's in there. He's got a ton of suspension in that thing. He's got pneumatic, sway bar link, disassemble, you know, to disengage the sway bars. He's got a lot into that truck, and he does. I mean, he's built everything on that thing, man. He's got a really well built truck, and, you know, it was definitely made for that competition and any sort of competition. I know he's been in a lot of other competitions with that truck. This is the first like competition I've actually been in with my truck. So I didn't have a lot of the experience. I just knew how to wheel. You
did the Rock Challenge once. Come on, man.
No, I didn't.
Have you not? I thought you did the Rock Challenge once.
I was supposed to do it that one year, and that's when the power steering ripped it busted my wrist. I almost broke my thumb going up 16.
Oh, okay. But so that when I led you up 16, was that when? I don't recall it going out then.
No, it was a different time. It was.
Is that when you and Breslin?
Oh, no. That was when Danny was. Yeah, it was when Breslin was doing it. Pointing me up there at the end. That's when I had the front tires come up in the air and the power steering worked against me and snapped the steering wheel around. Pro tip: never put your thumbs inside the goddamn steering wheel. Keep everything out on the outside. Those will break your fucking hand.
Right. But you know, you're for this competition, man. You obviously the drag race. And how do you prepare for an off-road drag race? But other than that, from you being in Moab or you wheeling on the East Coast or up in Chicago where you're at, like, you have a well-rounded background for this type of wheeling.
Yeah, I mean, I've been from coast to coast, you know, wheeling with all you people. So, I mean, whether it's running with the GPAX crew up in Pennsylvania or at Roush Creek, or hell, I went with you guys over in Windrock. I've been to Michigan, Wisconsin, Colorado, Utah. I've taken that truck back and forth and just beating the hell out of that truck. And you know what? It just, the battle axe just keeps running, man. Everyone's telling me you should put a VK in there and, you know, do the VK swap. I'm like, why? This motor's still running right now. I got gears. We're good.
Yeah, well, exactly, man. It's like, you know, run with what you got. And I know the VK swap's a big popular thing right now, but honestly, your truck is so beat to shit. Why do that? You know, it's a point of pride that thing is taking the abuse that you've put it through and just keeps going. You know, I mean, yeah, you got to throw a part on it every once in a while, but it just keeps going.
I could run out there right now, put a jumper pack on it. That thing will fire right up. I'll drive that thing to Moab tomorrow. I mean, it'll be rough, but I'll drive that thing to Moab tomorrow. But yeah, that truck is tougher than hell. So, it's kind of just a testament to the Nissan background there of how tough these trucks can actually be. So
Exactly. Well, so as we kind of wrap up talking about the competition, so you find out you kind of lost. I mean, no big. You made it all the way to the end. I mean, that's not losing by any means. I mean, whether you finished it or not, you've done what a lot of better built rigs couldn't even come close to doing, man. So I thought that was really impressive. But I'm assuming after the competition's over, you guys all kind of let off some steam a little bit.
Yeah, after it was all said and done, me, AK, Charlene met up with the hosts and a couple other people at the. I don't even remember what the restaurant was called, but it was some steakhouse or something like that with a little bar that was in there, and we were able to just kind of shoot the shit with everyone, and that's where I really got to know Pistol Pete, and got to talk with him a lot, and him and I were texting, back and forth the entire time, even after the show was all over. Man, that guy was one really cool dude.
Well, get into that a little bit, because I obviously we didn't know who your mentor was, but I could tell when the news came out that Pete was killed. I mean, you seemed, even on Facebook, kind of like shaken up about that, man. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So. Yeah, as soon as we found out that Pistol Pete passed away, man, it was super upsetting, because, like I said, he was my coach, so I was able to talk to him, obviously on the show, during the show, after the show, and everything. Even on the show, they didn't even show that one, but we had a little bit of a moment, because like his dad was a Marine, right? And his dad passed away, and he's always talking about his dad, how much he loved his dad, and how much they used to always do a lot of the Baja stuff together. So with having the military episode going on, he got super emotional, and they normally like to videotape everything and see everything, and me and Pete went outside, and I just talked to that guy for a minute. I was like, hey man, I appreciate your service, appreciate everything you've done for I know you love your dad a lot, and you'll see him again one day, but just in the meantime, let's get back after this. So he was able to focus back up on that. But yeah, after Pete passed away, man, it was bad, man. I felt super bad for his family and his kids and everything, because it just sounded like he got into a pretty bad accident with if I believe it was with his kids too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
and for those that don't know,
horrible,
man. he was out in Baja, I think it was, and somebody just sideswiped him. I've never heard the details about what happened, but it was very tragic, because the guy is a legend in the community, and it was a real bummer, man. And for the next season, obviously they'll do another season of this. I don't know how they replace that guy.
I don't know either. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with all that. But, I was just texting with Abe and Bender and, my episodes for the crew people. And we were, I was just saying, like, man, I really wish Pete could have been here to reminisce about all this, because he was a hoot, man. Yeah. He was a super cool guy, and it was really fun to meet him. And I'm very, very proud that I got to meet that guy, and at least, share a little bit of his story, and continue on with him as his legacy and everything. So just do whatever we can for him and his family. So
right,
that's that.
I mean, in the beginning of the season, what really sucked was it happened like a week before the season started. So I mean, it's like, how does the show handle that? Of course, the first episode they say something, and I got a feeling by the end, when they wrap this season up, they're going to really do something nice for his family. Well, so guys, that's what it's like to be on Truck Night in America, man. So Ryan, as we kind of wrap this up, obviously there's all kinds of interest, people wanting to do it. I know your buddy Brian is interested in doing it. What kind of guide people? What would you do different? What would you do? Give us a little bit of, since you have some background with the show now, what would you do to get on the show, and how would you prepare for it?
All right, so they're going to be looking for people that are very, very outgoing and very, boisterous about everything that they've got going on. So If you do ever apply to the show or you do want to get on the show, just be super outgoing. Half of it's just your story, man. They want to know about you. They want to know about your story. They want to know about your truck. So you got to have some sort of cool story to kind of coincide with you about, what this truck means to you, what this community means to you, what you got going on. So, you can't just like apply and be like, "Hey, I'm Ben, and I'm just Ben," and they're like,
right.
"Be like, okay, well, what the fuck are we gonna do with Ben?" So, yeah, no, they just want to see outgoing people. They want to see a cool story about you. They want to see something cool, unique, that's different about you, your truck. So if you've got something that's badass, I mean, the only thing I kind of really had working for me is the veteran card was going on that one pretty good, and then being the first Nissan on the show. So they've never had a Nissan on the show prior. Well, okay, so I competed before Will, but
Will's
but
episode aired first.
Yeah, I was the first competition or the first competitor that got on the show with a Nissan, and then Will actually got onto it too. So being the first Nissan that was on there, I think we kind of opened up their eyes a little bit to show them that these trucks can come out and party too.
There was several comments about that when they mentioned the Xterra, and at the beginning of this show they were like, "Well, I'm kind of interested to see what an Xterra could do," and then they who's the guy with the colored hair? I can never remember his name.
Glenn Plake.
Yeah, Glenn was kind of shitting on the Nissan thing the whole show.
Oh man, everyone was shit. They were. This was the goddamn underdog the whole fucking time. Are you kidding me? They're like, you didn't hear it on the show, but when we were sitting up there at Bumps and Jumps, I was hearing the guys talking. They're like, "Was that grocery getter gonna actually do anything out here?"
Yeah, exactly.
So I got called the grocery getter. The guy asked me if I was gonna go work out. He probably was curious if I was vaping.
They mentioned some things like that. I was like, oh my god, man. I mean, obviously they're characters too, so that you got to kind of make make it fun. But I think you really, like, just from what I could tell of the hosts from the little time we get to see them talk, but they looked like they were pretty impressed with the vehicle.
Yeah, we confused a lot of people with what these trucks are capable of, because I mean, you think about the off-road world, the off-road community, and everyone's, Jeep, Toyota, Jeep, Chevy, Ford, Jeep. Is the Nissan is just kind of a small, like, it's like the redheaded fucking stepchild that you got over here that they're trying to figure out, what to do with. And, if you get some people out there, that's what I don't know. That's why I love this community, man. It's just like, it's a small, tight-knit group. We were able to go out there and give it hell and show them what these trucks can do.
Right. And for the most part, these are definitely built, not bought vehicles versus some of these.
Yeah. Well, you got to build most of your own shit because there's just not a lot of aftermarket support that's out there.
Right. Well, I wanted you to know that I had talked with Nissan, like, so and you would text back and forth there, hey, does Nissan know, and does Nissan know? And I was like, yeah, man, trust me. I spent 4 days with them, and they know about this damn show. And I'm with their marketing, one of their head marketing guys, and I'm giving him hell because I'm not going to say their names, but I'm giving them hell because when you're watching the show, I don't know if you've seen it last night. Did you see the Ultima commercial? You probably didn't because you're partying and having fun.
No, it might have been in between beers. I don't remember.
But anyways, it's like, Nissan, get your shit together, man. You have a show called Truck Night in America, which is so close to your home base, it's silly. And you're showing the Ultima in between Truck Night in America. And I'm like, I gave the guy hell. I was like, look, man, it just doesn't make sense. You're trying to sell trucks. You just sent me out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming to cover you doing trucks, and then, like, you have more audience on TV than I can give you, than any of these journalists can give you, and you're showing an Ultima, man. So I was definitely Team Ryan out in Wyoming, man. I was like, guys, and literally that guy, I mean, he accepted it. Like, he goes, man, that's probably my bad. Of course, on TV they just buy block of ad space. It's not
right.
They don't exactly know, but he was pretty embarrassed to find out that they were showing cars during a truck competition. And but he literally right then he texted his wife and said, hey, DVR the show right now. So definitely, I know for a fact that I know Holden's bugged the piss out of, like, Billy Hayes and people that matter at Nissan. And I know I did with their advertising execs that, hey, man, Nissan's, come on, guys, there's a competition, and you guys just kicked ass at it, man. So I wanted you to know that I bugged the crap out of them to let them know about Miller Time.
Good. I appreciate that. So hopefully we can.
So just wait for those endorsement deals.
Nissan's attention a little bit and be like, yo, this is what these trucks can do. This is what guys are doing with it, man.
Well, you know, I even went as far to tell them, look, man, so these hosts roll up in Razors. I said, that's stupid. It's a truck show. Why are they not rolling up in new Nissan Titans for every thing they do? And like, it piqued his interest of like, oh damn, like you seen the light switch go off of like, shit, we gotta get a hold of these people and see what we can do, man.
They have them contact me. I might know a couple people over there.
Imagine that, man. Imagine you doing the show and knowing people over there, man. But, well, Ryan, we've just done 10 hour and 10 minutes on this show.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, I appreciate, I mean, we're buddies anyways, but I appreciate you doing this. I think there was a lot of interest on this show, and as you were telling me before we recorded, man, you had 24 or 48 hours of just people like talking about it and just really excited.
Yeah, I can't thank everyone enough for all the support that they've given. It's just been completely overwhelming of how many people have been reaching out and how many people have been saying hi and just kind of shooting the shit with me, with everyone else. And,
right.
I just try to do my best for all you guys out there. Right. So it's
right.
The first Nissan on the show, can't show up there and not give, 110%. So I gave it all. Busted up my truck completely for you guys just so we can kind of get those Xteras and those Nissans on the map. So I think we made a statement for the future. So
right.
Looking forward to seeing everyone during this wheeling season, shooting the shit and just having a good time. So
I'll
see you guys out there.
You're an off-road celebrity,
we'll go
buddy.
wheeling.
You're an off-road celebrity now, so I mean, you gotta accept that status, okay? So when people just start handing you beers and just girls are flashing or whatever they do, I don't know what they do anymore, but you just got to go with it, Ryan. You just accept it, okay?
Hey, I'm still just the same guy out there wheeling with the rest of you guys. So
yep.
I still got the same broken truck. If my truck's broken, help me fix it. If yours is broken, I'll help you fix it.
Yeah, one broken diff and one broken alternator at a time. Ryan will be there.
Yeah, all that. Well, unless you have a tire fall off.
Yes. Oh, we didn't even get to that, man. Before we get into this. So Ryan gets his truck. We see him at Went. And I guess it was, 3 or 4 weeks later. And you could see your truck was like, because I seen the truck on the trailer when you took it down there. And, I mean, it's the Battle Axe, so it had some scars. But when it came back, it really had some scars. And I think you spent most of Went, like, rebuilding the truck. And so you get going, your final day of trails, and you get going, and what happened?
The goddamn tire fell off. I felt so we got the new front diff back in. I get the locker got put back in, the gears got all set, front diff got put in, and all the skid plates got put back on. And we're going through the trails and I'm hearing some clanking going on. I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? And all of a sudden, we get done with some tough ass trail and we're driving down one of the gravel roads and the fucking tire falls off. Just goes rolling down the street. I'm like, and of course, we're on the top of this mountain. I'm like, oh, man, if that tire rolls off the side, I am super fucked right now. But, luckily it stayed on the trail. And I knew the truck fell. I knew the tire fell off. And I remember looking over there. I'm like, okay, checklist. The rotor and everything else is still not connected to it. So I'm really not that bad. The tire just fell off.
Right. What happened? Would you just miss a lug nut or two, or what was it?
No. So I hadn't driven the truck any more than from like the garage to the trailer since the event. So what had happened was I think one of the impacts or some of the impacts or the everything else that happened during the show there beveled out the lug nuts, like the holes or whatever for where the studs go through. And I think it just eventually just oblonged itself out. So the holes got oblonged out and the nuts fucking just let loose and then the fucking tire came off. So
I'll never forget seeing pictures, like Luke sending me pictures of I'm like, what? How in the hell did Miller do that, man? It's like,
we did some more custom bends on the old front fenders too.
Right. It's like, well, you just did a badass competition. I mean, what, you just got to prove yourself even more now? Is that next is just driving on the rotors just to see what you can do?
this Nissan's going to go all the way.
And well, Ryan, I appreciate you being on here, man. You went all the way in our hearts, man, and you did us proud, and I'm sure there'll be many beers coming your way, man. And once again, guys, Truck Night in America, historychannel.com, History Channel app. They'll be playing reruns on the however you consume TV now, and give it up for Ryan, guys. And if you what is your Instagram if they can follow you over there?
I think it's at Repo Ryan. Other than that, I'm on Facebook, and it says I've got another 2,400 people that I can accept as friends on there before you max out the list at 5,000. So
well, there you go, people.
Come on with it.
The new competition is first to 5,000. So all right, Ryan. Well, we appreciate it, man, and we'll check back with you in wheeling time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for everything you guys do for the community as well, man. Greatly appreciate it.
All right, man. I want to say a big shout out to Ryan Miller, man. For one, thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for just being a kick-ass guy on the show, man. I know you did that specifically without knowing they wanted servicemen at the time. You did that to show the community that these trucks they can keep up with anything, and it's all about drivers' attitude and spirit. And clearly having a truck that was pretty well built, even though he didn't get to finish that final the Green Hell, he was broke. As you heard in the interview, he was broke before he got there, and he still, he could have gave up and just gave in. And no, that's not the fighter spirit, Holden. I don't think you guys were trained to just quit when the chips were down, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, anyone else, not anyone else, but a lot of people in that situation just would have looked at the truck and said, you know what, I'm not going to even be able to be super competitive. There's no point in doing any more damage. I'll just go ahead and wave the white flag. But yeah, definitely not Ryan, not as far as he had taken it. Why not just keep going? And yeah, just right. Huge props to him.
Yeah, I just on the show. I hope I hope you guys enjoy these interviews, man, because we really do try to ask honest questions, and we try to approach it as fans of the things that we talk to, whether it be from the rally racer guy that Danny was a big fan of, or to people like Holden or not Holden, but Ryan, who I think we're all big fans of. But it came across too that Ryan is trying to do something special. He's partnered with I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, or the name of the group.
It's a Oscar Mike Foundation, Dave.
Yes.
So one of their goals is to really keep injured veterans active and doing what they enjoy doing. So say that might be dirt bike riding, horseback riding, just any real physical activity that maybe being a casualty of war may have taken away some joy that they used to experience. And it just helps guys find a way to continue to do that through many different ways. So, yeah, definitely go check it out on GoFundMe. I think we've already shared the link, Dave.
We have. There's a link.
If not, we will share it again.
There's a link. The show's already donated a little bit of money, and we're going to continue to keep donating money to this good cause. They're trying to raise $10,000. And hey, Nissan, I've linked you to some things, man. Why don't you guys answer the call and help a veteran, help other veterans?
Yeah, definitely. So he's wanting to really specifically target those veterans who enjoyed getting out in the woods and doing some off-roading. Their plan is to to an off-road vehicle and get that in the hands of Oscar Mike and get that to the veterans who are maybe missing out on some of the things they used to enjoy. It looks like, looking at it right now, Dave, obviously it'll change by the time this episode comes out, but he's already got, this is the first day. We're not even 12 hours in hardly. He's already got the $1,300
wow.
Of that $10,000 goal raise. So don't let that say, oh, someone else will give. I mean, anything you can give to that, it's a more than noble cause.
Right. And with so many GoFundMe,
obviously that's near and dear to my heart, but definitely worth giving to.
Right. And there's so many goofy GoFundMes out there, man. Why don't you give, back to somebody that's gave basically everything they've had? And just because they have broken bodies, guys, doesn't mean that they can't live an exciting life. So, Yeah, please check out the video. Ryan did a heartfelt video, and we've got it on our. If you go to our Facebook page, Nissan Nation Podcast, it's on there. You can listen to it. If you want to give a few dollars, man, I think it. I know here a lot lately. I've called you guys out a lot, man. We've asked a lot from our audience, whether it be to share the last episode, to kind of show Nissan we have a big audience, or it's things like this. Like this is. Even though I would love to keep talking about Nissan and stuff, there's bigger things than just car manufacturers, and this is one of them, guys. So if you guys would go to our Facebook page, like I said, a couple dollars doesn't hurt, man. You're probably going to spend that at a fast food place or a truck stop or any way you're consuming fast food things. You're probably going to spend a couple dollars there. So why not give it to our service member then, and so they can be out there and enjoying the world too. And speaking of, we've got breaking news, Holden. This just came across the Nissan Nation Newswire. Are you ready? Holden, are you ready?
Thanks.
Comcast, I love you guys.
I'm ready. Now I am ready.
All right. The Mint 400 is going on as we speak, and Class 7100 is wrapping up. And our buddy with Team Xterra Racing, Danny raced with those guys for quite a while, but our buddy was out there giving it his all again, and this time it was 110 miles, man. So, Dave, one of these days you're going to get all 400 of those bad boys, man, but good luck next time, man. I know racing's hard, and I don't own a race vehicle, and I can't say what it goes into making one go 400 miles, but It's the little Xterra could, guys, and eventually he's going to go all the way, man. Holden, what do you think, buddy?
I think this is why I choose to do the 150-yard rock challenge races. Because even if you blow a tire, bust a bead, or something else, you can usually at least get your way to the finish line.
That's right,
so
man.
I'll stick with my 150-yard races.
So, yeah, and of course, Danny was with a different race team this year. He's doing some pit work for a team that I think actually won the race. But they, I know we give that team a hard time every once in a while about, the whole 68-mile thing. And clearly they keep getting better. This is 110 miles, so it's an improvement, definitely. But, guys, my hat's off to you, man. I know it's expensive to do, and I know you guys have been really looking for some sponsorship, but there's always next year, and there's always the next race, man. So my hat is off to you guys for attempting something that I never could. And Holden, man, that's a show, buddy. That
yeah.
Obviously you're either my internet or your internet is not the greatest tonight. But guys, you do not know what it took to get a show out here tonight. We've tried for 24 hours to get a show recorded, and Holden was supposed to be on the interview with me with Ryan there, but just the podcast gods kept kicking us in the balls, man, and said no. But
they did that, Dave. I was up till 1 a.m, almost threw my laptop through a wall. We finally got it together, and then we're dealing with the technical difficulties. But you know what? We're gonna keep on keeping on, Dave.
That's right,
We're gonna
man.
get this episode out. Get the people what they want. More Nissan Nation news. Definitely couldn't do it without all our awesome listeners, all our awesome followers. I'm sure there'll be some funny comments people on the socials about something to do with the way the stuff.
Yeah, but you
still got your Nissan news.
That's right. We still got it in there, guys, and I know my buddy Daniel, my brace buddy, he'll appreciate that because he's always bugging me about that. But we've had some big adventures, guys, and this year's just started. Like Holden said, he's going to be at the Atlanta Auto Show covering that for us. I'm 95 to 98% in for the New York Auto Show. They're going to do a bunch of live stuff up there. Hopefully we really are stepping up our game this year. And speaking of stepping up our game, guys, I know you're probably listening to this in your car through however you consume podcasts, but there's also a new way to listen to it, and that's through YouTube. If you go to our YouTube page, and it's just Nissan Podcast, we simplified it there just a little bit for you. If you go over there and hit that old red subscribe button, guys, it costs you nothing. Helps me a lot. Helps us build up to spread the word of Nissan even better. So if you go over there, and if you really, really like us, you'll ding that bell. Anytime I do a live video or one of the guys do a live video, you will be first to know about it. So we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers this year. So last I checked, Holden, we were at 210, which that's a nice increase, man. I want to say thank you to everybody that's helped us there. And one last way, if you want to help us, go to our website, Nissan Nation Podcast, or if you're really lazy, just type in Nissan Podcast, and go to our Amazon banner, guys. If you're going to shop with Amazon, why not do it through our website? It doesn't cost you any more to do it, and Amazon says, hey, thanks for promoting us a little bit, and they give us a small percentage back of whatever you buy. Now, granted, we're not out here to become millionaires by doing this. If it were, it'd be called the Lamborghini Nation Show or something like that. But it does help fund the show a little bit, man. And this little pirate ship, we're not out robbing the big sponsors. We're relying on you little guys to kind of help us. And anytime I see when you buy things, I don't know who buys what, but it's always interesting some of the things I see come across the desk there. But I want to say thank you to those that have used that in the past, and thank you to those that are going to give us a shot at maybe using it this time. And speaking of next time, Holden, we've got one of our last interviews from the Nissan Trucks event we attended, the Calling All Titans event. We've got a guy who builds 510s, and 510 is a dream car for me, man. The Datsun 510. They're hard here on the East Coast to find. If you do find one, it's probably rusted into a million pieces. But they're out in San Diego. Lies a man who likes, his whole family seems to like rebuilding those things, and he's a Titan owner. So could it get any better than that? So slickrick.510, I believe, is his Instagram signal, and that's coming up, man. But I can't say enough for our audience here, Holden. You got any final words or inspiration?
No, man. I mean, like Dave always says, and I completely agree with y'all. We just be three guys aimlessly and goofily recording our own voices.
That's right.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for continue to be involved, guys. Like I said, what is Holden holding on to? I want that to be a listener fun segment. But sometimes I'm going to tell you to keep your opinion yourself. I don't care. I'm going to give my own opinion. Exactly. But thank you for everything you do, and continue to help support us. And then in supporting us, hey, I'll say it one more time just because it is kind of near and dear to my heart. That is, go check out this GoFundMe for my buddy Ryan Miller. I would love nothing more than to see him get his goal and just really do some great things for veterans. So that's all I got.
Right. And that's it, guys. So this is episode 80. What is it? 87, Holden. Man, time flies when we're having fun, guys. And we're going to keep cranking them out as fast as we can do it. As long as there's something to talk about in the Nissan world, we are going to talk about it. So from everybody here at the Nissan Nation Podcast, to my awesome wife who does the intros, to my buddy JR who's continually does awesome music for us, to my buddy Danny out there at the Mint 400, man. Danny's having the time of his life, and I've had the time of my life the past few weeks, thanks to Nissan Trucks for inviting us to these things. Danny's gotten invited to help support a Mint 400 truck. We got Holden over there, guys. If you're in the kind of the ATL area, man, give Regal Nissan a shout at your business. Cost you nothing. And, well, I guess it will cost you something. It'll cost you a monthly payment, right, Holden? So, anyways, but you're going to get a great deal, and it's a family-owned company, guys. And there's nothing I like better than dealing with somebody that, those profits are just helping their community. So, from all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to wherever you are, this is your Nissan Nation Podcast. And what are we, Holden?
Out.
Peace, everybody. Love y'all.